Anthony Joshua's. He said he had serious doubts after the Andy Ruiz Jr. shock upset loss that got Andy Ruiz an ESPY award. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Gang. Notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Now, this is kind of a continuation video with some new information that I did yesterday. And in that video I did yesterday, I told you guys, Team Joshua, Anthony Joshua as a staff, as a record label, and as a motherfucking crew, he's all over the place, you know, to the point of his statements aren't consistent, to the point of it feels like bipolar disorder. Like, you know, like it seems like I'm not being facetious or I'm not being funny. It's like hot and then cold, you know, and it really has me questioning if Anthony Joshua should be doing all these interviews and stuff, because he ends up telling on himself. You get what I'm saying? And I looked at another part that they had to that Sky Sports interview, and link in the description. It says, AJ, I question if I was good enough, right? It says Anthony Joshua says he doubted himself after losing his world heavyweight titles to Andy Ruiz in New York. Wow. So the Sky Sports said, did you have any doubts? Basically, do you have any like questions after you lost? And he was like, 100%. Absolutely. You know, I questioned if I was good enough. Listen, me personally, I don't know what type of boxing fans you guys are. I don't know if you're from the UK, USA, Mexico. I don't know these things. But me, the type of boxing fan I never want to hear heavyweight fighters say stuff like that. I understand these fighters are human, but some of the best fighters throughout history, they have this superhuman appeal because we as fans know that they're willing to push and do things that seem inhuman, like fight with deep gashes and cuts, or, you know, have stamina to throw punches for 12 rounds, or in back of the day 15 rounds, 24, you know, 50 rounds, etc. So I feel like, especially in the heavyweight division, I think the heavyweight division is quintessential for boxing. I think that was the glamour division up until later generations, where you've seen the younger, smaller stars like Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao and stuff kind of come into the mix. But the heavyweight division, for me as a boxing fan, the thing that makes it special is they're the biggest of the biggest. They're giants. They're, you know, 6'5", 6'6", you know, or even Mike Tyson size, but 218 pounds and an immense puncher, things like that. So genuinely, out of all divisions, you look to the heavyweight division for respect, because that is literally the baddest man on the planet. Like prime Mike Tyson, prime Deontay Wilder. Who name a casual, non-fighter, everyday Samaritan or citizen that would want to fight 88 Mike Tyson, you know, that wants to get in a fist fight with Deontay Wilder? You know, you probably won't see it unless they're, you know, got a couple screws loose. So everybody can bow down like, yo, that's the heavyweight champion of the world. Like, nobody, he's the baddest person, you know, nobody can fuck with him. You know, it's going to take another Goliath-sized professional fighter to defeat that person. So we look to these fighters, or at least me, as almost superheroes, you know, like they aren't human, just what they're able to accomplish. And they're like, damn, he hit him that fast and his reflexes are crazy. So I understand at the end of the day, they are human, and with that comes raw emotion. But even if that's the case, Joshua ends up telling on himself, and he divulges too much information. And the reason you don't want to do this is because this is kill or be killed, survival of the fittest. This sport is gruesome. We've seen some recent deaths, you know, rest in peace to Hugo, rest in peace to Maxim. And this is nothing new. You know, Emil Griffith, he killed somebody. Ray Robinson, you know, these different things. So this is not, people have lost their lives, become permanently, basically disabled. They can't fight anymore, all types of stuff. So with a sport that's that potentially dangerous as is, you can't have an opponent, especially at the heavyweight division, knowing your secrets, knowing your kryptonite, knowing the chinks in your armor. So Anthony Joshua, to me, aside from him not being consistent, which I'll get to, he constantly divulges too much information and dives down, I guess, to keep it real or whatever. And he ends up showing what he's weak at, or to me, vulnerabilities and insecurities. Like, I question if I was good enough. You know, when have you ever heard, even like, let's say Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao got knocked the fuck out. Yeah, you know, he'd been knocked the fuck out multiple times. I never heard Pacquiao talk like that. I never heard Pacquiao, after my loss to Marquez, I question. I have, you know, rid the doubts. You know, you don't see him talking like that. Pacquiao's a savage in that department. He seems to, even when he's been knocked out, come back, and he hasn't really ultimately compromised his style. You could say he lost some of the aggression, whatever, but ultimately it's still Pacquiao. You get what I'm saying? It's not like he's afraid to throw punches now because he's been knocked out. So Pacquiao is a prime example to me of someone who's tasted defeat and or lost or been stopped and still carries that kind of fearless mentality. Just look at his fight with Keith Thurman. Young, youthful guy, big puncher. And Pacquiao, you never see him at a loss for punches. He's always active. I've never seen a Pacquiao fight where Pacquiao was gun shy for the whole fight. You know, the closest would be Floyd Mayweather, but that's something different because Floyd nullified and neutralized Pacquiao. So to me, I hate hearing this from Joshua. I question if I was good enough. Like, even if you felt that way, why would you publicly say that? Beyond that, you divulging this and giving out, spilling the beans on, you know, start spilling my guts like chicken cordon bleu and straight shit like Notorious Big did to the bitch on the skit on it. Sorry, that's the Eminem. But you start spilling your guts like chicken cordon bleu, you know, and aside from that, it's inconsistent with how you've been acting in other, I gotta change the picture. It's inconsistent with the other things you said. So it sounds all over the place. And I can't, you know, I can't trust the statements of somebody who is that conflicted in their head. So what I mean is this: you're doing an interview in Sky Sports in the same setting where you're questioning if you were good enough after you lost to Andy Ruiz. In that very same interview, you said, oh yeah, Andy Ruiz, we could fight, and his uncle could be the ref. We'll fight in Mexico. We'll fight in Tijuana, and I'll whoop him. But then in the same exact interview, you're saying, yeah, I questioned if I was good enough. I didn't know. And I was like having serious doubts, basically. That doesn't sound like the thoughts of one person. So, you know, Joshua as a heavyweight, he's going to have to find, in my opinion, it might be too late, but I feel like he has to find some kind of middle ground, because how can people believe what you're saying when you contradict what you're saying? A true alpha male, you have to be congruent with what you say. If you say you're going to do something, do it. You know, if you're like confident and you put this, oh, whoop Andy Ruiz, how you going to, in the same interview, say, I question if I was good enough to beat him? And you just listen to the other stuff he says, it doesn't sound like it's true confidence. So, you know, I don't know what other people feel, but I know in my heart of all hearts that Joshua's team did not want the Wilder fight. It's so written on the wall, so easy to see. Listen to these doubts he said. He just said in this interview, he's like, yeah, so now I have a chance to work on things and correct things. And like, Joshua treats this like it's a homework assignment, you know, and he got a F or a D- or something, and now he has another opportunity. This is Mortal Kombat, you know. This is hand-to-hand fisticuffs, and he's making it sound like, yeah, I have a chance to, the teachers let me retake the test. You ever had that? Like, you took a quiz, didn't get a good answer or get a good test result, and then the teacher lets you retake it. That's what he's acting like. He's like making it sound, I understand it's a sweet science, but he's making it sound too scientific. And then in this, he said he questioned if he was good enough. I don't see why you would even reveal that, to be honest. I questioned if I was good enough. And then if you are to reveal that, then that's what it is. You have insecurities and doubts if you were good enough after the loss that just happened June 1st. But then why are you talking about whooping Andy Ruiz Jr.? So as far as I'm concerned, there's no way to really rectify it, because if you're going to take the vulnerable approach, then be the vulnerable person. You get what I'm saying? Like, just say, oh, I had doubts, but I'm working to overcome those issues. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But then when you say you have doubt, when you say you're going to whoop somebody in Mexico, but then you say you don't want to fight them in Mexico, you say you don't want to fight them in USA, you want to bring them to the UK, and then you say you question if you were good enough to beat him. You tell us you have hired a sports psychologist before the fight and say, oh, what if he hits me with the punch, and then the next moment you're saying you're going to whoop him and, oh yeah, I'll break his jaw. He's talking trash. I'll break his jaw. Meet with me. It's just all over the place. Look at this picture. You have a muscle bound, Hobbs and Shaw picture where you're flexing, and it says no fear in my heart for any man, training complete June 1st. So this was days before the actual fight with Andy Ruiz, in which he got stopped. So Joshua, to me, seems like a very conflicted individual. I don't know if I don't know. Maybe he should get it with instead of a sports psychologist, maybe like somebody that'll help him express his thoughts, because what he does in interviews, it's too vast of a difference. You get what I'm saying? It's just all over the place. There's no other way to put it. Just common sense. And if I could read this, you mean to tell me Deontay Wilder, Andy Ruiz Jr., other people can't see through it? Like, man, this confidence can't be real. You can't say you're going to whoop somebody and then in the same interview say, oh yeah, I doubted if I was good enough. Oh, I got to work on some things. And, I didn't know if I was good enough to beat him. Okay, so where's all the I'm gonna whoop him and break his jaw stuff? It's just not a good look, Like I said, I'm not even the fighter. So if I could see these inconsistencies, then best believe Andy Ruiz, his team, Deontay Wilder, anybody who's a potential op for Anthony Joshua, they can probably read the same thing. And it's hard to explain, but if you from like from the hood, or you've been around some street shit, you see this in the streets where somebody will do like a lot of woofing on social media, rah, rah, rah. And then when they get confronted by the person that on social media, they were like rah, rah, rah to, you get to see the other person's energy change, and then they're like, okay, this ain't the same person that was like screaming. They was raising their voice in like when they filming a selfie style video about this dude. And then when the dude pulled up on them, their whole energy changed. They weren't that same person. So I think when you're not consistent with what you say and claim, I think that's kind of the same scenario. When you can't keep that energy the same, people are going to question if it's true. To me, it's common sense. So you can't say I'm going to whoop somebody, but then seconds later in the same interview say, oh, I question if I was good enough to beat him. But then you make it like he's easy work. You never see that. Joshua, to me, lacks confidence. That's the only way I could describe it. He may be confident in certain departments, but he also has a lot of hangups and insecurities in his own mind, because that's the only thing I can reason with to justify this type of double talk and this type of behavior. I have never heard Roy Jones Jr. or Floyd Mayweather. Never. After Roy Jones got knocked out, Floyd after tough fight, I've never heard Floyd talk like this. Floyd be like, oh, this motherfucker, easy work. I always find a way to win, like I said before, he's a young, hungry competitor, but I'm money made. I make adjustments. I've made a lot of smart investments. This motherfucker, easy. You know, you never hear him say, oh, I question if I could beat Pacquiao, or, you know, after the Maidana first fight, I question if I was good enough or if I still had it. But you hear Joshua say that. So, again, I think Joshua should work on that aspect of it, you know. And he's talking about, like I said, he's talking like this is a test retake or something. You know, in essence, it is kind of like a test retake, but it's not as academic as he makes it sound. Like, oh yeah, I can work on something. Just listen to how he says it. He said, and I wish I could play it, but I don't want to play anything for copyright. And, you know, AJ tried to give me a copyright strike before, you know, so, or he did. So, you know, I'm not going to play no Sky Sports shit. But anyway, Joshua, it just sounds like not true confidence, because he's just too back and forth. He says in this video, in this interview, oh yeah, now I have the chance to work on some things that I wanted to work on and improve years ago. Why would you say that? Like, or like, you know, it just draws so many questions. He has a lot of questionable interviews, people. You know, he has a lot of questionable interviews. He says, now I have the chance to improve on things that I wanted to improve years ago. Okay, so why didn't you improve them? You know, why didn't you hone your skills? How do you have the wherewithal to know you want to improve in these certain categories, but it takes for you to lose and quit and get dropped 4 times to actually initiate that game plan? You know, to actually implement change or like, I don't know, that's just weird. Like with what I do, like editing and YouTube and all that, vlogging, I strive to improve year upon year, month upon month, week after week. This is an ongoing process. Like you never really hear me say, oh, I wanted to make these changes months ago or years ago, because if there's a change I want to make, I'm just going to make it, you know? So that's just my 2 cents on it. Let me know what you guys think. But Joshua says he questions if he's good enough to beat Ruiz, you know, but he also in the same interview said he'll whoop him. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We working.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.